Welcome back to Over Channel Rare Coins All World. In 1971, the United Kingdom introduced the decimal coinage system, replacing the old pounds, shillings, and pence structure that had been used for centuries. Among the new coins was the 2 pence, featuring the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II on the obverse and the badge of the Prince of Wales on the reverse. This coin marked a new era in British currency, and though millions were produced, a few rare variations have captured the imagination of collectors worldwide. The 1971 2 pence coin is particularly fascinating because it came at a time of major transition in Britain's history, both politically and economically. Decimalization was meant to simplify daily life, yet it also created an opportunity for minting errors and trial strikes that were never meant to circulate. Some of these coins, struck under unusual conditions, became extremely rare over time, making them far more than just small change. Elizabeth II's portrait on the coin has also added to its allure. Coins from her reign often serve as historical snapshots of her long rule, with each portrait change reflecting different stages of her life. The 1971 2 pence with her youthful second portrait has a distinct charm, reminding collectors of the optimism and transformation of Britain in the early 70s. For those who value numismatic artistry as much as scarcity, this coin carries an elegance tied to its era. Collectors are especially intrigued by rare 1971 2 pence coins because of potential errors such as misstrikes, off-metal strikes, or experimental patterns. While most examples from circulation hold little more than face value, the rarest types never intended for public release can be worth extraordinary sums. The fascination comes not only from their rarity but also from the mystery surrounding how such pieces survived outside the Royal Mint. Stories of these coins reaching auctions stir excitement across the world of collecting. A single piece of metal weighing just over 7 grams can carry with it an incredible story of history, rarity, and chance. For the collector who discovers a genuine rarity among ordinary coins, the find is nothing short of treasure. The emotional connection to Britain's monetary transition, Queen Elizabeth II's reign, and the thrill of rarity combine to make these coins legendary. When it comes to value, the rarest known examples of the 1971 2 pence coin can command staggering prices, with some reported worth climbing up to $1 million depending on provenance, condition, and type of mint error. For the right buyer, such coins are not just currency but tangible fragments of history, carrying both cultural weight and unmatched prestige. The 2 pence coin from 1990, featuring Queen Elizabeth II, might look ordinary at first glance, but for collectors it tells a fascinating story. Coins of this era mark a period when designs were shifting, errors were possible, and subtle variations became treasures. The obverse carries the portrait of Elizabeth II, a familiar face on British currency, yet its small details matter enormously to those who know where to look. The 1990 coin shows the portrait designed by Raphael Maklauf, with the Queen wearing the royal diadem. This version of her likeness was introduced in the mid-1980s and remained in use until the late 1990s, making it an important transitional design. Subtle differences in strike quality, minting variations, or even a misplaced detail can turn a standard coin into something exceptionally rare. By 1990, the Royal Mint had already been producing decimal coinage for nearly 2 decades, but errors and small runs continued to slip through. These accidental pieces, sometimes unnoticed for years, can become the holy grail for numismatists. Collectors worldwide watch for such examples, particularly when they feature the 2 pence denomination, a coin most people overlook in everyday life. The significance of a rare 1990 2 pence lies not only in scarcity but also in condition. Coins kept in circulation generally wear down quickly, but a few examples have survived in mint state. When combined with an unusual die mark, a slight engraving change, or a transitional strike, they rise to legendary status. Even a minor deviation can carry great financial weight once authenticated. The reign of Queen Elizabeth II saw countless coins minted across her decades on the throne, yet only a fraction hold true rarity. The 1990 2 pence carries historic weight because it reflects not only an everyday item but also the changing portraiture and coinage traditions of Britain at the time. For collectors, it embodies the blend of heritage, art, and chance that defines numismatics. What makes this coin more intriguing is the way it slipped through unnoticed by the general public. The average person in 1990 pocketed a 2 pence without thought, never imagining that certain pieces could one day attract global attention. Now, decades later, that same small copper-plated coin has become a symbol of hidden fortune. Auction houses and private dealers sometimes uncover examples of the 1990 2 pence that defy ordinary value. Stories of collectors fighting over a single coin are not exaggerated, and the frenzy reflects how scarcity drives demand. When supply is almost non-existent, the price climbs higher, especially when history and a royal portrait are involved. The marketplace for rare coins has surged in recent years, and the 1990 2 pence sits at the heart of this excitement. Collectors from Europe, North America, and Asia now compete, each seeking to own a piece of numismatic history tied to Elizabeth II. As a result, coins once treated as loose change now command attention equal to fine art. When it comes to value, the rarest examples of the 1990 2 pence have been estimated to reach staggering sums, in some cases up to $1 million. This depends on condition, authentication, and the specific variety, but the possibility alone is enough to send waves through the collecting community. What was once worth just 2 pence now stands as one of the most extraordinary transformations of currency into treasure. The legend of the 1990 2 pence continues to grow, with every discovery adding fuel to its mystique. For many, it serves as a reminder that history often hides in plain sight, waiting to be noticed. A humble coin, once exchanged for bread or milk, now carries with it the aura of royalty, rarity, and remarkable worth. In 1993, a fascinating story began around a humble coin that many would overlook, the United Kingdom 2 pence featuring Queen Elizabeth II. At first glance it appears like any other copper-plated steel coin in circulation, but the year 1993 marked a turning point in its numismatic journey. The 2p was largely withdrawn from general minting during that period, and only a tiny number of specimens were struck, creating one of the most elusive coins associated with Elizabeth II. The coin bears the familiar portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Raphael Maklauf, which shows her crowned with the royal diadem, a portrait used on British coinage between 1985 and 1997. This design has become symbolic of an era when the United Kingdom was modernizing yet still deeply rooted in tradition. The 1993 2 pence carries this heritage forward, linking monarchic symbolism with a small but powerful piece of monetary history. One of the most distinctive elements of the 1993 2 pence is its status as a collector's enigma. Unlike other years, almost no coins were minted for circulation, and records suggest that only a handful exist outside of official sets. This rarity, combined with the continuity of the Elizabethan reign, makes it a perfect storm for collectors who hunt for scarcity as much as beauty in numismatics. For many collectors, the 1993 2 pence has become something of a legend. Some have never even seen one in person, while others spend decades chasing its appearance in auctions or private collections. Its reputation is not just built on metal but on mystery, and that intangible allure elevates its importance beyond its face value. The coin also tells a subtle story about minting practices in the early 1990s. The Royal Mint adjusted production to meet demand, and in 1993, general circulation coins were not needed in great numbers. That decision inadvertently gave birth to one of the most valuable modern British rarities, a decision unnoticed by the public at the time but now central to its fame. Collectors who value history and rarity together often point to this coin as a crown jewel of modern British coinage. The 1993 2 pence is a reminder that not all treasures are made of gold or silver. Sometimes, they are copper-plated steel, small in size but immense in significance. Its link to Elizabeth II makes it historically anchored, while its scarcity makes it a modern marvel. The mythos surrounding the coin has only grown with time. Discussions in coin forums, auction houses, and collector circles repeat the same fascination. The coin is so seldom encountered that when one surfaces, it stirs excitement across the numismatic world. In this way, the 1993 2 pence has achieved a reputation out of proportion with its humble denomination. In terms of value, the 1993 2 pence is extraordinary. While many British coins from the reign of Elizabeth II are cherished, none in the modern decimal series carry quite the same weight. A genuine example, when authenticated, can fetch astonishing sums at auction, with prices climbing up to $1 million depending on condition and provenance. This makes the 1993 2 pence one of the rarest and most valuable coins in British numismatic history, a true treasure hidden in plain sight. In 1997, the Royal Mint continued striking the familiar 2 pence coins featuring Queen Elizabeth II, but a tiny handful of pieces from that year became shrouded in mystery and legend. While millions of ordinary 2p coins passed through the hands of shoppers and collectors alike, one rare misstrike stood out, believed to carry errors or unusual design details that set it apart from the rest. Collectors of British coinage know that such mistakes are what can transform a humble copper-plated coin into a treasure of immense significance, and the 1997 2 pence coin is one such marvel. The obverse of the coin bears the image of Queen Elizabeth II, sculpted by Raphael Maklauf in a style that defined much of the currency during her reign. The Queen's portrait is more than a likeness, it represents decades of constitutional history and symbolizes her presence in everyday life across the United Kingdom and Commonwealth. By 1997, Elizabeth II had already served for nearly half a century, and coins like these connected households directly with the crown. This connection, alongside the rare variation, makes the coin a remarkable artifact of both numismatic and cultural heritage. On the reverse, the coin displays the badge of the Prince of Wales, a design well known to generations of Britons, yet on some 1997 issues anomalies occurred. These may include misaligned strikes, wrong metal composition, or minting errors that slipped through quality checks unnoticed. For collectors, such errors are not flaws but treasures, because rarity is born in the margins where mistakes are least expected. To own one of these elusive examples is to hold a piece of history that almost never should have existed, multiplying its appeal and its perceived worth. The fascination with coins like the 1997 2 pence extends far beyond the borders of the UK. Global collectors track down rare British coinage through auctions and private sales, where unusual specimens attract fierce bidding. The combination of Elizabeth II's iconic effigy, a rare minting anomaly, and the coin's everyday origin as pocket change makes it especially desirable. It is precisely this paradox, that a simple 2 pence coin, usually overlooked, can be transformed into a world-class collectible, that drives its legendary status among enthusiasts. As for its value, the rarest known example of the 1997 2 pence has been estimated in specialist markets to reach up to $1 million. This staggering figure is not just about the intrinsic metal but about the narrative of chance, error, and history it embodies. With collectors always seeking the elusive gem in the rough, the 1997 Elizabeth II 2 pence proves how even the smallest coin can command a price worthy of royalty, its story echoing far beyond its humble copper. The 2 pence coin from 1987, featuring the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, carries a fascinating story tied to Britain's numismatic history, where certain minting anomalies and rare strikes have turned an ordinary denomination into a collector's treasure. Struck during a time when the United Kingdom was adjusting coinage designs under the long reign of Elizabeth II, a handful of these coins escaped the usual minting process, making them remarkably scarce today. Collectors worldwide seek them not simply for the metal, but for the unique place they hold in the broader history of royal coinage. The design itself bears the crown Tudor rose, a symbol deeply tied to England's heritage, paired with Elizabeth II's regal portrait on the obverse. Most 1987 2 pence coins follow the standard issue, but those struck with experimental dies or errors are the ones considered extraordinary. These irregularities often come from the smallest differences, a shifted inscription, unusual alloy composition, or slight design variation, details nearly invisible to an untrained eye, but priceless in the numismatic world. Interest in the 1987 2 pence piece has grown because it reflects both the precision and imperfections of the Royal Mint's history. Rare coin enthusiasts value these anomalies not just for their scarcity, but because they embody a living piece of Elizabeth II's reign, linking modern collectors to centuries of British tradition. The rarity means that even the mention of such coins appearing in auctions sparks excitement, with collectors eager to pay staggering amounts to secure them. When it comes to value, the rarest versions of the 1987 2 pence coin have been appraised at astonishing levels, with some estimates reaching close to $1 million. This worth is not dictated by face value or intrinsic metal content, but by scarcity, collector demand, and historical resonance. Owning one of these exceptional coins is less about possessing 2 pence and more about holding a piece of history, a tangible reminder of Elizabeth II's enduring presence on the world's currency and the extraordinary heights numismatic treasures can achieve. In 1994, the Royal Mint continued striking the familiar 2 pence coins bearing the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, but a tiny fraction emerged with unusual traits that turned them into some of the rarest coins in modern British history. These coins, though small in denomination, gained legendary status among collectors who recognized their scarcity and the remarkable story behind their existence. Each carries the weight of Elizabeth II's long reign, a reign in which everyday coinage quietly became a reflection of British identity and heritage. The 1994 2 pence coin represents more than just loose change. It is part of a series that began in 1971 when the UK decimalized its currency. Elizabeth II's image was a constant across those years, changing subtly as official portraits updated to reflect her age and dignity. By the time of 1994, her likeness on the obverse was already iconic, firmly tied to both national history and personal memory for millions who use these coins daily. Unlike standard issues, the rare versions of the 1994 2 pence coin often emerged because of minting anomalies, either struck with experimental dies or produced in tiny batches not meant for circulation. These errors and oddities made them stand apart from the billions of ordinary coins, and once discovered, they immediately caught the attention of numismatists who treasure imperfection when it comes with extreme rarity. Elizabeth II's long association with UK coinage adds to the aura of the 1994 2 pence piece. Her face has appeared on more coins than any other monarch in world history, making each subtle variant or unusual addition highly significant. Collectors see the 1994 rarity as a snapshot of the late 20th century, a period when Britain's economy, culture, and monarchy were entering a new chapter, yet still deeply anchored in tradition. The coin itself is copper-plated steel, small, and ordinary in appearance, but what separates the rare examples from their common counterparts is their traceability. Few were confirmed, and when one appears at auction, the buzz among coin enthusiasts is immediate. Every detail, the luster, the strike, the edge, becomes a point of fascination, as if these little discs carried coded secrets of their journey from the mint to the present day. Over the years, whispers and reports of collectors stumbling upon such a coin in pocket change created a near-mythic allure. It became a modern treasure hunt, with people sifting through jars of coppers in the hope of spotting the elusive 1994 2 pence with the rare variation. Stories of finds made in forgotten drawers or inherited collections added layers of excitement, reminding everyone that history sometimes hides in plain sight. Auction houses and coin dealers alike treat the 1994 2 pence rarity with the highest regard. Each sale sets a precedent, as new records for price are reached whenever one changes hands. The marketplace for numismatic treasures thrives on rarity, provenance, and historical resonance, and this coin encapsulates all three, giving it an almost mythical reputation. By the time we speak of value, the 1994 2 pence rarity has already climbed into a realm far beyond its humble denomination. Depending on condition, provenance, and specific variety, collectors have seen valuations soar from hundreds of thousands to well over $1 million. For a coin with a face value of just 2 pence, such a transformation underscores the sheer power of rarity, history, and the enduring image of Elizabeth II, whose reign left behind not just memories but treasures hidden in the smallest of coins. The 2 pence coin from 1988 is not usually thought of as a fortune maker, but one particular version has become legendary among collectors. This coin, featuring Queen Elizabeth II on the obverse, hides a story that begins with an accidental strike, a detail that would later make it one of the rarest modern British coins in existence. The reverse design at the time showed the badge of the Prince of Wales, a plume of 3 ostrich feathers within a coronet, accompanied by the motto, Ich Dien. For most issues, the word 2 pence was inscribed, but in 1988, a handful were struck with the older legend, New Pence, an inscription that should have been discontinued long before. This small difference turned into a massive error that collectors would chase for decades. The portrait of Queen Elizabeth II on this coin was designed by Raphael Maclauff, showing a regal image of the monarch wearing the George IV state diadem. Every detail, from the strands of hair to the inscription, Elizabeth II Dei Grazia Regina FD, connected the coin to its moment in royal and national history. Yet it was the mismatch between the obverse and reverse details that elevated the coin from ordinary circulation change to a true rarity. In the United Kingdom, coinage errors have always fascinated the public, but the 1988 mule 2 pence is in a category of its own. Very few examples are confirmed, making it not just rare, but nearly mythical in status. Collectors scour their change hoping for even a glimpse of one, though most have never seen the coin outside of photographs. The significance of this error is rooted in the broader story of British coinage. In 1971, decimalisation brought new coins to the public, and the wording "new pence" was used as a transitional feature. By 1982, the Royal Mint officially switched the inscription to 2 pence. That makes any later coin with "new pence" an anomaly, and the 1988 examples a historical oversight that slipped through strict minting controls. For those who value the monarchy's image on currency, this coin also embodies a transitional moment in Elizabeth II's reign. By the late 1980s, she had become a symbol of stability, with her likeness appearing on billions of coins worldwide. To hold a coin from 1988, with the wrong inscription, is to hold a moment when tradition, technology, and error collided in a single copper-plated steel disc. Stories circulate about lucky finds in old jars or forgotten purses, with ordinary people discovering that the small change they once ignored could be a life-altering treasure. Because so few exist, the coin inspires a sense of mystery, almost like a hidden royal artifact that escaped into the public's hands. Its appeal is not only numismatic but also emotional, tied to the thrill of uncovering something precious where none was expected. Auction houses and numismatic experts treat confirmed examples of the 1988 2 pence with extraordinary respect. Their rarity makes them headline news when they surface, and collectors with deep pockets are ready to battle for ownership. For those who specialize in British coinage, adding one of these to a collection is often described as a once-in-a-lifetime achievement. The demand is not simply about rarity, but about story. Each 1988 mule coin carries a narrative of royal imagery, minting error, and cultural significance. It is not only a currency slip, but also a tangible reminder that even in tightly controlled systems, human mistakes can create objects of immense desirability. That story pushes the price far beyond ordinary expectations for a copper coin. In terms of value, a genuine 1988 mule 2 pence can reach astonishing heights, with estimates suggesting that depending on condition and provenance, the coin could fetch up to $1 million. In 1989, the United Kingdom was still under the reign of Queen Elizabeth II, and the Royal Mint continued to produce circulating coins that carried both historical and cultural weight. The 2 pence coin, though small in denomination, became the subject of fascination because of certain rare issues that slipped into circulation. These coins were not only a reminder of the monarch's long reign but also of the subtle changes in minting that could create something extraordinarily valuable. The portrait of Elizabeth II on the 1989 coin was designed by Raphael Maklauf, whose effigy had been introduced a few years earlier in 1985. This particular image of the Queen shows her wearing the George IV state diadem, a crown adorned with diamonds and pearls, which is one of the most iconic representations in British coinage. The detail and regal presence of the design gave the coin an added touch of significance, making any rare version even more desirable to collectors. Most 2 pence coins issued in 1989 were standard, bearing the familiar reverse design of the badge of the Prince of Wales with ostrich feathers, a coronet, and the motto, Ich Dien. However, what makes this year special is the existence of a few coins that were struck in error with the "new pence" inscription, a wording that was officially discontinued in 1982. This tiny mistake transformed what should have been an ordinary coin into one of the rarest numismatic treasures of the modern age. The phrase, "new pence," had originally been used when decimalisation was introduced in 1971, to help the public adjust to the new system. By the 1980s, the term was outdated and replaced with the more straightforward 2 pence. When a handful of 1989 coins were struck with the obsolete legend, they instantly became a rare anomaly in the history of British minting. Collectors and numismatists have long searched for these coins because their rarity is compounded by the fact that only a tiny number ever left the mint. Unlike proof sets or commemorative issues that are deliberately released in small quantities, these coins were accidents of production, making them more mysterious and alluring. The presence of Elizabeth II's portrait on such a mistaken strike adds to its desirability, as it embodies a moment of unintended history under Britain's longest reigning monarch. Over the years, the legend of the 1989 2p error has only grown. Stories circulate of people discovering them in change, tucked away in jars, or hidden in collections where they had been overlooked for decades. Each discovery sends waves of excitement through the collectors' community, as the possibility of holding one of the rarest coins in modern British history is a dream shared by many enthusiasts. The cultural significance of these coins also lies in how they represent Britain's numismatic evolution. The decimal system itself was a monumental shift, and coins like the 1989 error strike are tangible reminders of the transition period. They capture the intersection of design, language, and royal symbolism, all tied together by the face of Elizabeth II, whose reign oversaw these changes. In numismatic terms, rarity and condition are everything. A 1989 2p coin with the "New Pence" legend in excellent condition can command staggering prices at auctions. The fact that such a small denomination coin, intended for everyday use, could turn into an item of immense worth reflects the unpredictable nature of collecting. Each coin is judged on its detail, strike quality, and preservation, but the rarity itself guarantees it will never be undervalued. Stories of ordinary individuals finding these coins in pocket change or family collections have inspired widespread interest in checking old coin jars and purses. The thrill of potentially discovering a fortune in such an unassuming form has helped fuel the legend. With Queen Elizabeth II's image marking an era of stability and tradition, the 1989 2p has become not just a coin, but a piece of royal and cultural history preserved in copper-plated steel. When it comes to value, the rare 1989 new pence 2p coin has been known to sell for astonishing amounts. In pristine condition, collectors have valued it at prices reaching up to $1 million, a staggering figure for a coin with such a humble face value. This transformation from 2p to $1 million rarity makes it one of the most remarkable stories in modern coin collecting, and a symbol of how history and chance can turn the ordinary into the extraordinary.